welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McKay, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon, and contact Dayspring Discussions on the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Well, happy Thursday, everyone. It is a cold and gloomy Thursday here in Austin, Texas, but everywhere around the country, we should be singing the sunshine because women, Team USA, won last night. That's right, they won the gold medal 20 years after winning the gold last time. I stayed up late last night to watch it. I have just been enthralled with the women's hockey team this Winter Olympics. When the Olympics started a week and a half ago, I told myself I was going to watch the men and the women's hockey. You know, I haven't watched a lot of women's hockey, I'll be honest, in my life. But from the moment I started watching the first game, I started cheering for these girls. And then, of course, getting to the game with Canada a week ago and learning about their history, the 20-year rivalry, it made watching last night that much more fun. Came out to a shootout. The girls pulled it off. So excited, guys. If you watched the game, it was awesome. If you haven't watched highlights, go back and watch them. I highly recommend it. It was just Olympics and sporting at its finest. But of course, I did take a break from all the ice action to check out the return of Star Wars Rebels on Disney XD Monday night. Lisa and I sat down and watched it, and by now I've watched it twice. I watched Jedi Knight and Doom, and if you're a Rebels fan, you know what I'm talking about. It was a great two-part comeback. The series is coming to an end, and I guess I could talk a little bit about it, but honestly, I'm going to save it towards the end. I think at the end of the series, I'm going to bring Lisa on. We're going to do kind of a season or series wrap-up for Star Wars Rebels, and we'll get into all the juicy little details. If you have any questions or anything that you want to talk about, send them to the Gmail account or write them on the social media account. And when I do the series wrap-up, I'll get into all that. All right, so starting off today's show, I want to talk about a few pieces of news that came out yesterday. First off, Sci-Fi gave us a behind-the-scenes look at Brainiac for their upcoming Krypton show that premieres on March 21st. So the actor Blake Wrightson, I don't know how to say his name. Anyway, we got to look at the guy who's playing Brainiac, and we come to find out that he's pretty much going to be the main villain in the show. And honestly, I'm getting super excited for this show. I know I'm not a big fan of Gotham because it's Gotham and all the Batman rogues gallery without Batman. And some might say this might turn out to be the same thing. You've got all these great Superman characters without Superman. But it's the sci-fi element of it all that really is drawing me in. Especially the fact that it's set on Krypton in space. You can bring all that cosmic world of the DC universe in, like Brainiac, like Green Lanterns, like Thanagarians, like Hawkgirl, and all that stuff. You could really do a lot with it if you do it right. But also they need to focus on the characters. Seg-El, Superman's grandfather, is going to be the main character in all this. But this behind-the-scenes look, they talked to David Goyer, who is the writer of the Batman Dark Knight franchise, trilogy, Christopher Nolan films, whatever you want to call it. And then they talked to Jeff Johns, who is the chief creative officer over at DC. He's also the one who kind of reintroduced Brainiac back in 2008 in Action Comics. And that looks like kind of what they're pulling from this Brainiac. And he looks great. A lot better than Brainiac 5 on Supergirl and CW. That one looks bad. Horrible wig. I mean, I get it. He kind of does look like he's supposed to look in the comic books. But like I said, the wig looks terrible. Not a fan of that at all. But this Brainiac looks menacing and scary. And this Krypton show, I'm all about it. I mean, I've never been a big sci-fi show fan. The only sci-fi show I think I really kept up with was Being Human. That was a great one. Lasted, I think, 4 seasons on Sci-Fi. And then you got Battlestar Galactica, which is really the big show that they're known for. I never got into it. But this, I'm excited to check this out. As a Superman fan, and from everything I've been seeing, I think it might be something special. I'm hoping it will be something special. But we'll just have to wait till March 21st to find out, guys. Speaking of something that looks special, Netflix has released a trailer for their upcoming series Lost in Space, and we also got a release date for it. The series is set to premiere April 13th on Netflix with 13 episodes. Now, this is the remake of the 1960s sci-fi series, kind of a cult classic in a lot of people's eyes. I myself have seen several episodes of Lost in Space on Nick at Night when I was younger. Of course, everyone remembers Danger, Will Robinson, Danger. Kind of a classic line in television history. But with this franchise, I'm most familiar with the 90s film that came out with, starring Matt LeBlanc, Heather Graham, William Hurt, Gary Oldman, Mimi Rogers. It's a fun, campy sci-fi film that a lot of people give a hard time to, but I really enjoyed it, actually. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. This I'm excited for because, again, you're updating a good story. The premise is, quote, set 30 years in the future, colonizing in space is now a reality. The Robinson family is among those tested and selected to make a new life for themselves in a better world. But when the new colonists find themselves abruptly torn off course en route to their new home, they must forge new alliances and work together to survive in a dangerous alien environment light years from their original destination. Stranded along the Robinsons are two outsiders who find themselves thrown together by circumstances and a mutual knack for deception. The unsettling, charismatic Dr. Smith and the roguish but advertently charming Don West. So like I said, the movie's really what I'm more familiar with. I like it. It's fun, entertaining. Check it out. This, when it comes to shows such as this, or even Krypton on Sci-Fi, these are heavily special effects shows. If not funded properly, they can come off kind of cheesy and just bad. If the money isn't there for some special effects, they have to make up for it with the writing and the characters. I like the idea of taking that movie that I liked, that 90s movie, and spreading it out, giving it a bigger budget for today's standards, of course, and diving more into the characters. Like I said, I'm not that familiar with the original 60s television series. I've only seen just a few episodes, and even then, that was when I was a kid, so I don't know exactly how the characters worked, but I know how they did in that 90s movie, and I would love to see that expanded more on. It's a sci-fi show, so of course, I love me my sci-fi. I'm looking to check it out, but I gotta tell you, stuff is just stacking more and more as far as what I have to watch in the next couple months. March is a huge thing coming up as far as my entertainment. There are several shows on Netflix being released. You got Jessica Jones and the Voltron Legendary Defender coming out. There's Krypton coming out in March. There are several movies I want to see. Just the next month or two of my viewing experience is going to be well packed. But I want to see another trailer too from Lost in Space. It looks cool. I want to see more. I want to get more into what the characters are going to be like. So it's a good first trailer, but show me more, Netflix. All right, moving on. Next subject, Chris McKay, who directed the Lego Batman movie and was in talks to direct a Nightwing film for Warner Brothers and DC, is now in talks to direct a Dungeons & Dragons film for Hasbro and Paramount Pictures. This is all according to Variety. Now, the Dungeons & Dragons film is set to be the first project for the newly created AllSpark Pictures under the Hasbro and Paramount banner. McKay has been involved or talked to be involved with the Nightwing film, but nothing's really moved on it. We haven't really heard about any other announcements as far as films besides Shazam and Aquaman, and then they're still moving along with Wonder Woman 2 if they're smart. I think they are at least. So Dungeons & Dragons is set to come out July 23rd, 2021. People think this is going to interfere with him possibly doing a Nightwing film, and I gotta say, I think I believe that, but I also never had the fully belief that a Nightwing film was going to be made anytime soon. I mean, nobody really knows what Warner Brothers is going to do post Aquaman, post Shazam. Those are the two movies that are in production right now. Like I said, Wonder Woman 2 is allegedly in pre-production and early concept stuff. After Justice League, it's all in disarray. They said they're going to be announcing a Flashpoint film and possibly a Batgirl film. But until the cameras start rolling, until they until they start casting people, I really don't believe it. Dungeons & Dragons, I'm not a huge D&D guy. I know there was that movie with Jeremy Irons years ago that was horrible. I like the fantasy genre. I wasn't a fan of Warcraft, which is kind of in the same realm, but I like the fantasy genre. If it's done right, awesome. Chris McKay, I love the Lego Batman film. Thought it was one of the best Batman films ever made. If he can work his magic on a Dungeons & Dragons movie, I'm all about it. I'd say if the Dungeons & Dragons film is more tangible, go for it. I mean, Hasbro and Paramount with their Transformers films and G.I. Joe films haven't exactly impressed me, minus the first Transformers film. So get all the talented people you can on the AllSpark Pictures banner to make it better. Chris McKay, like I said, good director. Whatever he wants to do, I will support him, knowing that he has the talent to make things good, even if that is Dungeons & Dragons. Lastly, before I move on to this week's comic picks, it looks like Disney and Marvel are looking to launch a new animated series based off Marvel Comics. They're looking at Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Now, no one quite knows what channel it's going to fall on, whether it be Disney Channel, Disney XD, or possibly even the Disney streaming service that's coming out next year. Now, it's going to be produced by Lawrence Fishburne, who is set to star as Bill Foster, aka Goliath, in the upcoming Ant-Man and Wasp film. Now, the series is going to be based off the comic book Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur that was launched in 2015, and it follows Lunella Lafayette, a 9-year-old genius, and her prehistoric friend Devil Dinosaur. As one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe, Lunella loves to create inventions, even though they tend to get her in trouble at school. However, Lunella is more than a genius. She is also an inhuman, with the ability to swap bodies in her gigantic crimson dinosaur pal. There is no release date set on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Like I said, we don't know what channel it's going to be on. I am familiar with this book. I've actually, I think it was like a month ago, I saw it in my list of books one Wednesday, and I tried to read it because the concept seemed kind of cool for me. I couldn't get into it. Now, there are a lot of characters that I think are really cool I can't get into just because of the writer. Like with Superman, I love me some Superman. I'll read everything Superman, but there's a couple of Superman comics that I can't stand just because I can't get into the writing. Writing is everything. The writer is a lot of comics nowadays. With this cool concept, I think it's prime for an animation or even a movie take, in my opinion. But the fact that it's got the label of Inhumans on it, I don't think you can go live-action TV or movies just because of the Inhuman stink from the television series right now. Putting it in the animated world, where I think the Inhumans have been, along with Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers Assemble and Spider-Man, that's a smart move. I think it's something that could be cool. I don't think I'll get into it, given the fact that it's going to be an animated show. But maybe it's something my daughter might enjoy. Maybe I'll sit down and try to watch with her just to see what it's all about. But in any event, there you go, guys. Check that out. Now we have come to that point of the show. It is Thursday, which means I sat down last night and flipped through some comics. I'm going to give you a couple of my recommendations, and then you fire back on the social media account and the Gmail account and let me know what fun things you have read that I have not. All right, starting off, of course, my number one recommendation for this week is going to be Jason Aaron's Thor, number 704. I can't say enough about this, guys. Jason Aaron, I was never a big Thor guy. Ever since Jason Aaron took over this book, he's been crushing it. It's a must-read ever since. We got Jane Foster on her deathbed having the decision of whether she wants to grab the hammer again for one final fight as Thor, even though it may kill her. The people around her, Odin's son and Odin, battling to the death with Magog and Asgardia, and Jane has to make the choice what's more important. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Needless to say, they've been calling this the death of the mighty Thor, I think for a reason. Jason Aaron just signed on to do a new Avengers book, Whether he's going to drop Thor after this Death of Mighty Thor event, I don't know. I hope not, because like I said, his run on Thor has been epic. But at the same time, if he's jumping over to Avengers, I might actually start reading Avengers again. Like I just said, writing is everything. In this day and age, I follow writers more than I do characters. So we'll wait to see how this all ends, but I don't think it's going to end well, kids. Speaking of writers, Michael Brian Bendis is wrapping up his run of the Defenders. Issue number 10. Didn't it seem like it was a little short, issue number 10? But Bendis wrapped up this and his Alias Investigations book with Jessica Jones. And I believe his Spider-Man book with Miles Morales. Is he still writing that? I don't know. I know he made the character. I don't know if he's still writing the character. But nevertheless, Bendis is leaving for DC. Going to write Action Comics number 1000, Take Over Superman, which I, again, like I said, as a Superman fan, am excited about. This one, just, a little fun book to check out. I didn't think it was that great, but as far as wrapping up Bendis' run in the Defenders, check it out just for shits and giggles. Next, we have Hit Girl number 1, written by Mark Millar. Millar bringing back the world of Kick-Ass. Last week, we had Kick-Ass number 1 come out, which I enjoyed. Hit Girl, I didn't enjoy as much, but I'm going to see where they're going with it. I'm more interested that after this first storyline, Kevin Smith, the acclaimed movie director, fanboy, comic book writer, is going to take over the book. I'm real interested to see what he's going to do with it. But I know Hit Girl is a popular character. In this one, I didn't like her as much because it seems like she's a little more cold-blooded than what she should be. But in the event, like I said, I'm more interested when Smith takes over. But check out Hit Girl number 1 and let me know what you think. All right, and then finally, of course, Batman issue number 41. Tom King crushing the book. This one's interesting. Pretty much looks like Poison Ivy has taken over the entire DC universe, minus Batman and Catwoman. Interesting to see how this is all going to play out, but some great dialogue in this book. King, of course, crushing this, crushing whatever he does. One of my new favorite writers. Check it out, guys. And that's going to be it for me today. Fire back on the social media account and dayspringdiscussing.gmail.com, guys. Let me know what you think about what we've been talking about. Have you seen the Lost in Space trailer? What do you think? Have you seen the behind the scenes for Krypton? Do you think it's going to be good? I am getting my hopes up for it. Hopefully not too high, but I'm getting my hopes up for it. And then, of course, comic books. Do you recommend the ones I recommend? Are there ones that you recommend that I haven't recommended? Fire back, guys. Let me know. I might try to do a show Saturday morning this week. If not, I'll get back to you guys next week with more news. Until then, may the Force be with us all.